All right, so today what we're going to learn is Zentangle. There's a lot of different types of Zentangle out there. Zentangle is basically an organized doodle. I'm going to show you an example here. This is a good example, an example that I did last year. I went edge to edge. If you look up a lot of Zentangle online, a lot of people will have their image, their Zentangle image inside the square, not going edge to edge. But for my students, I prefer them to go edge to edge and fill the paper with as much as they possibly can. My requirements is having 3 to 4 Zentangle patterns in their little squares. These squares are 3.5 by 3.5 inches, and basically because they're meant to be portable. They're not meant to be, I mean, you can do these on a larger scale, but typically Zentangle is an organized doodle and you're sitting somewhere where you need a small sheet of paper and you can doodle something out, no big deal. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start off by dividing a regular sheet of paper off 3.5 by 3.5. So we're gonna end up with, we should end up with 6 on one side, and we'll probably do another 6 or at least another 3 on the other side, depending on how many Zentangles I decide to teach you. And like I said, there's a ton of them. We're gonna use pencil, but when we do our final, if you notice on this Zentangle, this is done in pen and Sharpie. These are done with pen or Sharpie because they're meant to be done just without sketching, just pen on paper. You typically, when you're doing Zentangle, you know what you're doing, you're comfortable with it, and you're just going with it, and you're making it look very clean, but it's got more of a pop to it when it's done in pen than if it's done in just a basic pencil. The pencil is kind of dull. So we'll get to the pen later. So after we do the Zentangle pattern, I will give you the name of the pattern, okay? So let's start off. And remember, especially for you self-proclaimed artists out there, don't sketch. We need to do singular lines. This is one of those times I'm gonna tell you not to sketch. I want you to be confident in your lines and just follow along. Do what I ask you to do. And be confident with it, okay? I'm normally a sketchy artist as well, so I understand, I feel your pains by not wanting to draw singular lines. But in this case, for this Zentangle, I need you to be confident because when you're using a pen, you're not sketching at all. So we need to get used to not sketching for this particular project, okay? So I'm going to make a line from here to here. Okay, so everybody make that line. And then I'm basically just gonna make a, I'm gonna make a triangle, but kind of on a tilt. Okay, so we've got that. Feel free to move your paper around. I'm gonna try not to move mine just so I don't lose the camera angle and you still see what I'm doing the entire time. I may have to move it eventually, but for now, let's go with it. And then close the triangle off. Go slow. If we have to erase a little spot, no big deal, we'll erase it. So right now we have a triangle. So this is where it can start to get tricky after I add this next line. Okay, we're gonna start at the top at the point. Okay, we're gonna make a line all the way down to about right here. I'm gonna make a little mark there. So I'm aiming for that based on coming off of this spot here. So I've got a frame of reference of where I'm going. Okay, so now I created another corner here. Well, my next line is going to come out of this corner, but I'm not going to the corner. Again, I want to have a little reference point. I'm going to be going over to here. Eventually you won't need reference points because you'll understand what's happening. But every time you start a line, you're starting in a corner and you're ending not in a corner, okay? But you're creating another corner. I know that might have sounded confusing, but just go with me. So start in a corner, make a line that didn't go to the original corner. We're just going off to the side. Now we're gonna aim for this one. And we wanna try not to have too many. I kind of jackknife my line in here a little bit, and that'll kind of hide itself after I get enough lines in here. But that's why you might want to turn your paper every time you make a line. It might be easier to rotate your paper, okay? So again, we created a new corner here, and I want to aim about here. And if I don't hit the point, I don't hit the point. Eventually I'm going to stop putting those, like right now I'm not going to put any more of those dots. I'm in the corner, and I'm creating a new corner. So I'm not drawing through my line. Now we want to make sure we don't go through the line we already created. We're just stopping at a wall. Okay, don't go through the wall. I'm going to go backwards just because I don't want to turn my paper. Okay. I probably shouldn't have done that. Please don't do that. Start in the corner, work your way this way. This is my new corner. Okay, and all we're doing, you can get in a flow and never have to pick up your pencil again if you do it right. Try and keep your lines as straight as possible, but we're not using a ruler. All I'm doing is hitting a wall. Going from the corner, hitting a wall. Going from my new corner, hitting a wall. From my new corner, hitting a wall, hit a wall, hit a wall, hit a wall, until it finally disappears. Okay, so now you can see from the top, this is kind of like a twisting pyramid, right? You're looking down at the top of a pyramid and it's twisted, or you're looking down into the abyss of whatever this weird staircase may be, if it's a staircase. Kind of an odd twisting design. I like this design. It's very simple because you're just going from a corner to, off the side of a corner, off the side of a corner, so on and so forth, and you're just making these triangles. Now, in some cases, we can't leave empty space. Like in our final Zentangles, there is no empty space. So we have to fill every available square inch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a triangle, I'm gonna make another triangle go off. Maybe another one go this direction. So I'm starting to fill more space. But this is where you're gonna have to start to guess at some point. And yes, I still have empty space, but those can be filled later if need be. But I'm just trying to show you how you can fill more area of that space that you need to fill, okay, without scrunching. So we're gonna have to act like this is continuing off. So if I start here, I know that eventually that would hit a wall. And then I know that my line is gonna come in and hit here. Now I can see both my lines. This one's going to be coming in. Now I can see it. And it goes off. So I'm imagining that this is still continuing And I know where it's going to be hitting. And see how it comes back in, and we're good to go. So now I've got a second one connected to the first one. And you can always fill this area with other things too, other designs. You don't have to do a bunch of these. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna give you the name of this one, and I did not name these. These came from other people. I'm just following their names. This is called the Paradox. Okay, so that one's called, this design is called the Paradox. I'm gonna do another one real quick, just because I can. See how that goes off? I have no idea where it's at, but I know that it's going to come back on and hit there. And maybe I'm back on my page. When you get comfortable with this, you won't have to lift your pencil anymore. Okay, and then we're kind of filling the area with paradoxes, okay? So that one's done. That is one of our Zentangles. Let's do another one here. Okay, Paradox. We'll slide over to the second spot. All right, this one's gonna take up the whole space, the whole square. And we're just going to draw kind of a curved line on, and then we're gonna keep a parallel line to that. Curve that line, so we wanna try and, basically making like big stripes, but try and keep the lines fairly parallel to each other. Okay, that one's a little off, but no big deal. And we're gonna try and create kind of this bubble, almost, or a quilt type pattern. So I'm gonna carefully turn my paper, and what I need is a line that's gonna go perpendicular, and we still want to try and keep that same curved line. And if you noticed, I had 4 lines on the last one, or on the first one, and now I've got 4 lines. This one's a little close, but I'll deal with it, no big deal. So we've got this kind of quilt pattern going on, curved checkerboard, whatever it may be. So we've done that. And then what I want to do is I'm just going to pick this center one here. I'm going to make a line that goes down about here and stops. And then I'm going to make a line that goes up and stops, okay? And I'm going to do that for the next 2, but I'm going to bring it down a little further. See how that's a little further? Bring that one down. So I've got 3 lines, none of them are connecting, so 6 lines, but none of them are connecting. But now the rest of my lines are going to connect. And if you can slightly bend these lines, the better off your image will be. But it's not a big deal if you just keep it straight. And you will be creating somewhat of a checkerboard here, because the one next to it will be the same, but the one this way will be going the opposite direction. So all these going down are going sideways, sorry, or at an angle. So all these connected by these points are all going to be and then what I'm going to do, because these will be the same way, Okay, and then the same up here. Okay, so again, it's basically a checkerboard. So now I'm going to turn it. I'm going to go this way, so that way I can make, my lines will still be going up and down, but they're going to go in these other ones, so they'll be sideways compared to the other ones. So I'm going to bring that here. The nice thing about doing Zentangle is if you make a mistake, a lot of times if you think you make a mistake, like one of your lines is too crooked or something like that, it kind of gets hidden in it and you won't really see it. So basically what these empty spaces are, it kind of shows like a highlight, because you could eventually, if you wanted to, go in and shade around the edges to make it look more rounded, and this would just act as that highlight. So that's a possibility if you wanted to go that route. We're not going to do that on this particular just learning, but if you wanted to down the road, yes, you could do that. So this name is Yincut. Again, I didn't make the names, I'm just following them. Other people made the names, so I'm just going by what they named them. All right, on to the next, and this is another basic one. Not too complex. I think all the ones so far have been fairly basic, nothing too much, nothing too intense. We'll get a little more intense as we go on, but nothing is out of the realm of anybody doing this. This is typically a 5th grade project that I do, but you can do this at any age, okay? All right, so this one, we're also going to do some lines. This is almost like a perspective. So we're gonna make these lines come from the back and out, curved again. But I wanna keep these lines where I start, the starting points, closer together than where it ends. Okay, see how that's closer and that's further? That's kind of what I want to achieve here. Okay, and then maybe this comes on right here, okay? So I've got 4 lines, and then what I need to do is we're gonna make these kind of look like stairs, almost, depending on how straight you make your lines. So the first line that we're gonna make is, I'm gonna make it here, about right here, and I'm gonna come straight down until I hit the other line. Don't cut at an angle just to try and get to the line quicker. Just come straight down. Then we're gonna go straight across, okay? This is where it's gonna get a little tricky, because if we went straight down from here, that's not gonna work out too well. We'll never see the end of it. So this one's gonna have to angle out, and I'm gonna probably aim about here. So this is gonna create a little bit more of a slope instead of a stair. And it's just going to depend on the perspective that you're looking at this. So I'm going to take this way and go off the page, okay? And then basically we just need to repeat that. So I'm going to do this, and then this, and then try and keep these parallel to each other best you can. I can't see what those lines are, so I'm just going to make a line right here, assuming that there's another line here and assuming there's another line there. This one's getting further away, so we want to have some of these lines get a little closer. It'll give that illusion of depth. Okay. Oh, gotta connect this one. Okay. And then what we do in here is we're basically going to fill in every other one, and you've got a lot of different options on how you can do this. And I don't want to confuse you too much with a whole bunch, showing you a bunch of options with this, but basically you need, again, kind of a checkerboard. But we're also going to do something else to help with the look of it as well. So let's just choose this one. Let's choose this one here. What I'm going to do is just fill this in. Don't push real hard, just shade it in. We don't need it to be super black or anything. It doesn't need to be 100% on the value scale. Just need to get it filled in and try to eliminate the lines the best you can. Usually with big spaces, people are impatient and just want to fill it up as quick as possible, and it looks real sketchy and too much line work. Okay, so I'm not going to do that to this one, but I am going to do it to this one. So again, just like a checkerboard, you're going every other. Try and stay on the lines the best you can. Typically, if you do this again, it's going to be on a very small scale because you're going to be doing this alongside of other techniques in the same size square. So you'll end up cramming this into a smaller space, so you won't have so much to shade. This will be smaller in size inside of that 3.5 by 3.5 square. Okay, and then again, I'm not going right next to it, I'm going catty corner to it. All right, so there's many different ways that we can go from here. So we can add in extra lines, just lines instead of shading in. We can do a lighter shade to show dimension or depth. So I could shade this one because it looks like it's going down, so this would have a shadow on it. This one would not, this one would. We could do vertical and horizontal, so I could do vertical lines here and horizontal lines here. So there's lots of different paths we can go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shade these in lighter on just this row, these two rows here, and then leave it alone and be done. So I'm just gonna really lightly shade. Remember, I'm not doing it to all of them, I'm only doing it to 2 rows. And then jump down here and do these rows. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that one alone. And this one, I'm gonna put the name right here. This one I pronounce Jonquil, Jonqual. Okay, so that one's Jonquil. Again, reminder, eventually I'll stop saying it, but I did not come up with these names, so I'm just going with what I know